Hello guys, how's it going? I hope you're all doing well. I was really struggling with what video I wanted to film for you guys this week, and then I thought to myself, why don't I just go back to my roots and film a classic makeup video? So in this video, I thought I would show you guys how I do my everyday go-to, if I'm taking Instagram photos, if I'm meeting friends, if I just want to dress up a tiny bit, the makeup look that I would wear for pretty much any occasion. And to be honest, during COVID times, I don't want to say during lockdown because lockdown is finally coming to an end, literally touching wood like crazy. But during COVID, I have literally just got so lazy with my makeup routine. I just reach for the same products every single time. I'm pretty sure I mentioned this in my last YouTube video as well. I have genuinely just become such a creature of habit where I just use the same products and do the same routine over and over. So I thought I would show you exactly how I do it. And while I'm doing this makeup look, I thought I would do a classic chit chat get ready with me, and I asked you guys to send in some questions on my Instagram stories, so I'm gonna answer some of those while I do my makeup. So yeah, with that, let's get into the makeup. So I think we all know that a good makeup look starts off with a good skincare routine. Honestly, if you want to get that flawless, glowy, or I guess matte as well, either one, if you just want to get that flawless base makeup look, skincare is the key. So to start off my skincare routine before I do my makeup, obviously after cleansing, I like to go in with a toner. And guys, I have to put you onto this toner because it is genuinely the best one I have ever used, and that is the Glow Recipe Watermelon Glow Pore Tight Toner. I have only had this like a couple of weeks and I'm already pretty much halfway through it, and literally with this I just put a tiny bit on my hands, rub it together, and then just put it all over my face. Oh, it smells so good too. And then once I'm done with my toner, I like to go in with a serum, and the one that I mainly use in the mornings is Nip and Fab's Dragon Blood Fix Plumping Serum. I'm not quite sure why it's called Dragon's Blood, it's a bit intimidating, but I just take like 2 pumps of this on my hand and again just rub it into my face. Next I'm gonna go in with a moisturizer, and I'm gonna use the Versed Dew Point Moisturizing Gel Cream. I love the consistency of this moisturizer, as it says it's like a gel kind of consistency, which makes it feel really nice under makeup as well, and it doesn't feel super oily. And then the last step is optional. I just like to use this because I tend to get quite dry eyes, especially when I'm doing lots of makeup. But I'm going to go in with an eye cream, and the one I'm going to use is the Makeup Revolution Toning Boost Eye Cream. So there we go, there's my skincare routine all done, so now we can get on to the makeup. Alright, so just before I get started on the first step of my makeup routine, I'm going to have a look at some of these questions. So the first question we have on here is, what is your favourite Starbucks drink? For someone who is sat here with literally a Starbucks cup right next to them, I am actually not the biggest fan of Starbucks. I feel like Starbucks in the US is so much cooler than Starbucks in the UK. Like, if you guys are watching this and you're from the US, please appreciate your Starbucks because it is nothing like that in the UK. The other day I went to a Starbucks in London and I asked for 2 pumps of a syrup in my iced latte, and the lady behind the counter was like, what are you asking for? And I said like 2 pumps of syrup, and she just did not understand what I meant by like 2 pumps, I think. And then I see all these people on TikTok in America, and they go to like the drive-thrus and order literally an order that is like 10 lines long, and the barista's just like, yeah, sure, that's fine. And I'm like, if I tried to do that in the UK, they would look at me like I was crazy. So yeah, I just feel like Starbucks in the UK is a lot more boring than it is in the US. So in all honesty, if I ever go to Starbucks, I kind of just get like an iced latte or something. But as you can probably tell from my iced latte that I have right here, your girl likes it sweet, and they literally only put in like 1 pump of syrup, I think, or they have every time I've gone, because now I'm scared to ask for more than 1 pump. So it's not like my favorite. I feel like if I were to go to the US, I would be there like every single day, but maybe I just need to expand my taste buds a little bit and actually try and drink coffee which isn't 90% sugar. So yeah, I would probably say if I'm going to Starbucks and I have to get a drink, I would order an iced latte with 2, preferably, pumps of caramel syrup. So right now I'm just starting off with my foundation. I never used to be a foundation kind of girl. I always felt like it was, well, at least for like the looks I was going out in. Obviously I would wear foundation all the time for filming makeup tutorials and stuff, but I never really liked wearing foundation for day-to-day life just because I felt like it was too heavy for me. But I have discovered literally my dream foundation, and it is genuinely all that I use. I'm probably going to run out of it soon, and that is the Urban Decay, doesn't actually say what it is, listen to this, Stay Naked Hydromaniac Tinted Glow Hydrator. I mean, they literally could just call it a foundation because I'm pretty sure that's what it is. But it has the most gorgeous, natural, glowy finish of literally any foundation I have ever used. I mean, I'm a sucker for glowy skin, especially when it's getting closer to summer. So, I mean, like you guys can see, I mean, come on. It looks like skin, but looks flawless at the same time, you know? I'm just obsessed with it. Like, if I want to go for a more full coverage look, I will wear like maybe 1 or 2 layers of this. And if I want to go for a more natural look, I will just use this, or sometimes even mix it in with a moisturizer to get kind of like a tinted moisturizer kind of look. Also, can we just appreciate the shade match? I use the shade 30. So I'm gonna go in now and do my concealer, and I'm gonna use another like ride or die product. I'm obsessed with this. This is the Nude Sticks Cream Concealer. I use the shade 2, and I'm also gonna use a tiny bit of the Revolution Conceal and Define Concealer just to brighten up my under eyes a tiny bit. But honestly, if you haven't tried this, this is another one. I'm sorry, I'm gonna be saying this so much in this video, but you guys need to try this. It's another product that's been going viral on TikTok, but this is one of the few times when I actually found it before it was getting popular on social media, just to flex that. Honestly, so lush, doesn't crease, gorgeous coverage, could be natural or full coverage depending on what you want. Ugh, I just love it. So next question, I actually got these 2 questions separately, but I'm just going to answer them as one. And one person said, what is your favorite thing about being an influencer? And someone else said, what's your least favorite thing? So I personally don't like the term like influencer, but I'm just gonna use it because I feel like everybody understands kind of what it means. But yeah, I mean, favorite part, there are literally so many things that I could name. Like, it is genuinely my dream job. I feel like the best things for me personally are the people that I've been able to meet through it, whether that's brands, whether that's followers, friends. Like, literally it has completely transformed my life. I cannot imagine where I would be if it wasn't for social media. I mean, the opportunities are just kind of endless when it comes to this job. Obviously, everything has kind of been shut down because of COVID, but before COVID, like, the opportunities that I was offered, like going to Tokyo, going to Cannes, like just insane stuff which I would never have been able to do at like 16, 17 years old, you know? There are so many benefits. I could go on about this for ages, but for me, like, the biggest part of it is like opportunities and the people that I meet. And then the worst parts of social media, I feel like everyone kind of says the same thing for this, but obviously like negativity is a big downside of social media, and it's such a sad part of social media. You know, you kind of wish that like everybody could just get along, but it's never really gonna work out that way. So obviously, like, hate, luckily I don't get too much hate, so it's not like a big part of social media for me. But just like general negativity that you see on social media, people tearing each other down. I mean, sometimes if you don't take enough time off social media, or you do it as your job like I do, it can become very overwhelming and also quite a negative space if you are in certain sort of areas of social media, if you get what I mean. But the main thing that I would say that I find difficult with social media is time management. With this job, you never really switch off. Like, even if I'm just scrolling through Instagram in the evening, like just chilling, you know, just like you guys do, I still kind of feel like I'm working because my brain is still going, oh, you could do that, or oh, they've done this and, you know, they've done really well from this, and if you'd done that, you'd have done well too, you know? Like, I can't really switch my brain off from social media, and because it all weighs on my shoulders, you know, if I choose to take 2 hours off every evening, I may potentially be in a very different place in a year's time to where I could have been if I, you know, worked in those extra hours in the evening. So it's very much, you have to, you know, set your own boundaries and say, no, I'm not going to work at this time, or this is my limit, because if you don't, you know, you just kind of become consumed by it. And I personally am not very good at taking that time off and saying like, all right, Flo, like, slow down. Everything is going to come together. You don't have to be working all the time or thinking about social media all the time. So yeah, I mean, it's not really a downside, especially if you can manage it well yourself. But personally, that's something that I find quite hard, just because it's like you're on all the time, you know? I feel like I just rambled for a full like 10 minutes. I think I'm going to have to cut so much of that out. But I'm now going to go in and set my face using my favorite Huda Beauty setting powder. This is a recurring product on my YouTube channel. I'm sure you will have seen it before. So for this, I'm just just gonna go in with a beauty blender and set under my eyes. I know that everybody says that baking and setting is like so, I don't know, 2016, but I still love doing it. I don't go as intense as I used to, but at least under my eyes, I do still like to bake. So once I've done that, I'm gonna go in with just a brush and take some more powder and just dust that all over my face. This is something that I never used to do. I don't think I ever really used setting powder unless I was filming a makeup tutorial. I just really liked the kind of glowy look, but now I have discovered that if I don't set my makeup, it gets very kind of oily throughout the day, especially if I'm wearing it out. So I tend to set it and then go back over the top with highlighter to make it look a bit more glowy rather than just leaving it, if you know what I mean. So next I'm gonna go in with blush, and for me, it is very rare that I actually hit pan on a product. I never use up products completely unless I absolutely love them, and I have hit pan on this one. This is the Anastasia Beverly Hills blush in Peachy Love. I have genuinely used this every single time I've done my makeup for the past 2 years, I think. I use it every single time, mainly a combination of these two shades here, and I just like to take this on a big fluffy brush and apply it to kind of the top of my cheekbones. I feel like this gives a more sort of glowy, sun-kissed look rather than doing it on the apples of my cheeks, and I feel like it makes it look a lot more natural as well. It's so funny to think that I literally used to be like a blush hater. I would never ever wear blush because I think my mentality was kind of like, if I've put on all this foundation and concealer and contour and everything to cover up kind of redness, why would I want to put that back on my face? Which kind of does make sense looking back on it, but I've just become such a blush lover over the past few years. I would much rather go with only blush than only, you know, contour or something. I just feel like it's so pretty and just makes your makeup look so much more natural. I'm now going to go in with my favorite Physicians Formula Butter Bronzer. I don't always use this when I'm doing my makeup. Sometimes I do skip bronzer, depends kind of how I'm feeling on the day, but I mainly just use this around my forehead kind of area. I don't tend to contour so much anymore, and that used to be like one of my big things that I always did, and now I just kind of stick to blush and a tiny bit of bronzer. But yeah, I'm just going to put that all over my forehead just to get a bit more of that summery glow. Oh, one step I also forgot to mention that is using the same bronzer is I like to do a tiny bit of nose contour. Obviously this is quite like an extreme look. I don't know, I feel like if you want to go for a really natural look, you could cut this out, but I personally like to have a little snatched nose, so I am just going to go in with a tiny bit on the sides and also the bottom of my nose. So for my final skin step, I am going to obviously go in with highlighter to add some of that glow back in that I took off using the setting powder. And for that, I'm going to use the Ofra highlighter in the shade Star Island. And obviously I like to put this on my cheekbones, the regular places, also on my nose and a tiny bit on my forehead. So before I get on to doing my brows, which is the next step, I'm going to answer another question. Someone says, do you prefer this aesthetic or your old one? I haven't read these questions through beforehand either, so this is all just like off the bat. I feel like that is very flattering to say that I even had an aesthetic before, because literally beforehand I just filmed whatever I wanted and just posted it without even thinking about what it really looked like on my feed. And now I take a lot more time to plan and edit my Instagram photos so that they kind of fit with my aesthetic. So yeah, 100% my new aesthetic. It literally fills me with so much joy every time I look at my Instagram. So yeah, that was quite a short answer, so I'm going to answer another one while I'm here. And this comment has literally just made me laugh out loud. Someone says, what is the silliest thing you have heard people say about you? I've heard quite a few silly things in my time. Like, I'm literally like, where did you even get that from? But I think probably the weirdest thing that I've ever heard is that I have a net value of £1 billion. This was one that I heard about in school, and actually there is kind of like a reason for it. I'm just going to say now, my net worth is not £1 billion. I have no idea what my net worth is, but it is not even close to that. But I do kind of understand where they got this from, because around the time when I was in school, there was a website that was put up that basically had a load of information about me as like glambyflo on there. It was kind of like information about this celebrity, because apparently I counted as a celebrity then at like 16 years old. But basically it just had like height, weight. I mean, how are they even supposed to know these things? I don't even know who's running this website. But one of the things that they had on there was net worth, and I think it said somewhere between like this amount and 1 billion. And so a couple of people came up to me and said like, Flo, is your net worth 1 billion? And I was like, I wish I could say yes, but I'm gonna be honest with you, no. So that's probably like one of the weirdest things I've actually heard about me. So next step for makeup is doing brows. And the first thing that I like to do is kind of weird, but I like to take a roll of toilet paper, or you could use a cotton pad. You could use pretty much whatever you have to hand. But what I like to do is just gently wipe over my brows. And I don't know how well you can see this, but can you see like down sort of here? There's kind of like foundation streaks. It is really, really subtle, but if you're planning on putting like a gel or a wax in your eyebrows, it's very important to make sure that you get the excess foundation off your brows before you do that, because otherwise they can turn kind of ashy. So I always make sure to do that before I do my brows. But what we're gonna go in with for brows is another go-to product, which I have almost run out of, and that is the NYX the brow glue. It looks like this, a very small container, and I'm obviously going to run out of it very, very soon. But I wasn't quite convinced by this when I first tried it. I thought, to be honest, like, how good is this gonna be compared to my soap brows or compared to my Anastasia brow freeze? And honestly, it's become a new favorite, very affordable as well, because it's NYX, it's drugstore. And the way that I use this is, firstly, I brush it through my brows, kind of following the direction that the hair grows, and then I take a tiny bit more on the brush, and this is the trick to really keeping your brows in place all day. I then brush my brows backwards, and it feels so wrong. Like you're literally there like, I am just completely messing up my brows, and I mean, this is obviously a look, but I literally just brush that through my brows, forwards, backwards, and then forwards again to sort of smooth them back into place. But honestly, this just helps keep my brows in place all day. And then once that's done and I've let them kind of sit and set in place a tiny bit, I am gonna go in with my Anastasia Beverly Hills Brow Duo in the shade Dark Brown. And I'm actually gonna use mainly the lighter shade of this, and I'm just going to fill in any areas of my brows which look a bit sparse, which currently is a lot of them. Honestly, how much I want to fill in my brows changes like every single day. Today I've gone for quite a like intense brow, probably a bit more than I would normally do, but this is something else which you can literally just change to fit how you want it. So while I do my eye makeup, let's answer another question. I literally just do the most natural eye makeup possible. I just put a tiny bit of my Nude Sticks concealer again on my eyelids, and then put a tiny bit of bronzer over the top. So this person asked, what do you think of living in London? Honestly, I haven't really had much opportunity to actually explore London. Obviously, because of lockdown, I've just been kind of stuck indoors, not really able to go and kind of appreciate London. I mean, the one thing that just everybody says about London, and it is so true, is that it is so ridiculously expensive. Like, not just rent, travel, food, everything. The amount that I spend just on rent here, like thinking of the things that I could have spent that money on, like hurts my soul. I can't think about it for too long because it is just so depressing. But I'm just kind of counting on the hope that once everything opens up, it's going to be worth it, because obviously I was spending lots of money on travel and also lots of time, like just getting on a train from Bath to London like 3 times a week for events was just not it. So now it is going to make things a lot more convenient. Just up until now, I haven't really been able to benefit of living in London too much. I mean, obviously there are so many good things about London, like the opportunities, the travel, like it is so easy to get around here because there's just tubes everywhere. And I mean, there are so many more opportunities here than there were back home. It just makes it easier to hang out with friends, go to events when they're happening. Like it just is much better for my job to be here in London. But I do feel like I get stuck in my apartment a lot. Even without COVID, I feel like that would happen, just because when I lived back home in Bath, there was very much a town centre. You know, like if I wanted to go out, I would just go into the centre of Bath and might meet friends there. You know, like it was just so easy to just go into the Bath centre. Whereas here, London is so big, there isn't really that one place where it's just like, oh yeah, I'm gonna go out and go here and it will take me 10 minutes to get there, you know? Like you have to think out everything. It feels like a day trip. It's like, do I go to the north? Do I go to the south? Like, where do I want to go in London? I feel like you kind of have to have an excuse to leave your apartment in London, which I never really had back home in Bath. I'd just kind of go out whenever. So I feel like that weirdly makes me feel stuck in my apartment more than I felt kind of back home. But as I say, I literally haven't been able to reap any of the benefits of living in London just because everything has been closed. So yeah, I will update you on that when all the events and everything start up again. Okay, so next step is curling lashes, and if you are sat there watching this video thinking, all right, she's lost me, she's curling her lashes, there's no way I can recreate this because I don't like curling my lashes. I see you, I know you're there because I was literally you. Up until like a year ago, I never curled my lashes because I thought it didn't work for me. And this is gonna sound like an ad, I promise it's not. This lash curler, Laura Mercier lash curler. If you have tried any other lash curler and it hasn't worked for you, please, just before you give up, go and try this one. I can pretty much promise you that if you didn't like using lash curlers before or they haven't worked for you in the past, if you use this one, you will be converted. It's literally the only lash curler which has ever worked for me, and I am never going back. Okay, here you go. Here's proof. You cannot tell me that that didn't make an insane difference, and I haven't even done mascara yet. So the mascara which I have been obsessed with recently is this one here, which I actually tried kind of on a whim because I read about it and I was like, oh, you know what, I could give that a go. So this is the Temple Spa mascara. I'd never even heard of the brand before I received this in PR, but the thing that sold me on this is that it says serum mascara on it. So not only does this mascara look great while you're wearing it, but it is also super good for your lashes. It also helps nourish and lengthen and basically just strengthen in general your lashes. I got it in my eye. Ow. Honestly, since using this mascara, I have genuinely noticed a difference in my lashes. Like, they look longer, they look much thicker, like they are a lot more dense along my lash line. In general, they just look a lot healthier than they did before. So there we go, here's a comparison. This is with mascara and without. Next is one of my favorite steps, and for that I'm going back in with the Anastasia Beverly Hills Brow Duo and the same brush which I used before, which is the Anastasia brush in 12, and this time I'm going to take the darker shade and draw on a little eyeliner wing. Brown eyeliner has honestly become so trendy recently. I feel like everybody is wanting a more kind of natural look at the moment, and black eyeliner is just very, very intense, so a brown eyeliner is a great sort of substitute if you're wanting a more natural look. So for this, I'm just going to draw a very subtle eyeliner wing out from just past the corner of my lash. And I am going to do this off camera because otherwise I will mess it up. And voila, there we go. Very subtle, very natural, very pretty. We love. And we are on to the final step, which is lips. I never used to do my lips just because I could never really find a lip combo which I actually liked. But recently I have found one, so I'm going to share it with you. And that is the Huda Beauty Lip Contour 2.0 in Sandy Beige. And this, which calls itself Magnetic Plush Paint. And I actually have no idea what it's meant to be for, but I use it for my lips and cheeks. And this is by Nude Sticks, and it's in the shade Sunset Peach. So I literally just use this to line my lips and then tap on a tiny bit, not too much, of the plush paint. And there we go. There is the finished look. Just before I go, I'm going to answer 2 more questions just because I feel like I haven't answered nearly as many as I intended to in this video. So Olivia asked, what are my favorite TV shows right now? And I have actually just started watching Bridgerton. I know I am so behind on the hype. Like, literally everybody was watching this weeks and weeks and weeks ago. And I don't understand why I never really watched it, because firstly, it's based on Jane Austen. And you guys probably don't know this, but I actually had an obsession with Jane Austen growing up, so I'm surprised I haven't watched it. And secondly, it was pretty much all filmed in Bath, my hometown. So literally every scene I'm watching, I'm like, oh, that's there. Oh, that's there. Oh, that's right next to Primark. Like, it's really weird. So yeah, I'm only on like episode 1 of that, so I can't really say what I'm feeling about it yet, but I have to say I am enjoying it so far. And then obviously you guys know that I love true crime, so I've been watching a few Netflix true crime series. But in general, I've kind of been watching more YouTube than Netflix and series recently. I'm in a bit of a YouTube phase. And then the final question that I'm going to answer kind of leads on from that, and that is top 5 YouTubers. Oh, this is difficult. So number 1 definitely has to be Fernanda Ramirez. If you don't watch her vlogs, go watch them. Like, her channel is literally the goal. I just want to be her. I love Molly May. Another one of my absolute favorites is Aaliyah's Face. If you haven't watched her YouTube videos as well, go check them out. If I'm ever lacking motivation, I literally just go and watch her videos because she is a complete boss. And then the final two I'd say are Jessica Vu. Her videos are super aesthetic and satisfying to watch. And then finally, Emma Chamberlain, just because it's Emma Chamberlain. So yeah, I believe that is it for this video. I really hope that you guys enjoyed it. I do feel like I rambled a lot in this video, so editing this is going to be quite a task, I think. But yeah, I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, then make sure to let me know down in the comments what you thought, and also don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!